There's a new way to enjoy Imagination Skyway. You can now listen for free with or without a Patreon account by heading to patreon.com/Imagination Skyway. Here you can enjoy the show free from programmatic ads and read through listener comments on specific episodes. Plus, sign up for a free member account to engage with other listeners on specific episodes and enjoy bonus content, or sign up for a free 7-day trial of one of our paid subscription options for even more content. Learn more at patreon.com/Imagination Skyway. Welcome aboard Imagination Skyway, your grand podcast tour of the magic. I'm your host, Matthew Krull, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss the EPCOT International Food and Wine Festival in what is now our second of 4 festival-focused episodes. The EPCOT Food and Wine Festival takes place each fall and generally starts at the end of the summer season, concluding in November. This EPCOT Festival is a Disney fan favorite, bringing more than 30 outdoor kitchens, merchandise, concerts, not to mention hundreds of items to sample to the Walt Disney World Resort. And this year's festival has some changes thanks to the recent completion of World Celebration, the central part of what used to be called Future World. In this episode, we'll discuss what you can expect at this year's festival and some suggestions to make the most of your experience. At the end of the show, we'll return to Imagination Central, where I'll share ways in which you can stay connected with Imagination Skyway, how you can discuss this topic with others, and how you can help support and inspire the future of the show. Please remain seated, keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times, and enjoy your grand circle tour aboard Imagination Skyway. Every fall, Epcot's culinary flavors expand with the International Food and Wine Festival. This fan-favorite event, which goes back to 1995, gives guests the opportunity to sample a wide range of items from across 6 continents. Disney calls it a feast for the senses, and anyone who has attended this event can tell you it's an accurate tagline, as more than 30 global marketplaces emerge across the park, offering hundreds of dishes and beverages, plus a wide selection of special event merchandise, scavenger hunts, culinary demonstrations, wine and beverage seminars, tasting events, and the Eat to the Beat concert series. It's perhaps the most popular Epcot festival among Disney fans, and the only way to cover this topic correctly is to invite Disney food royalty. So I'd like to welcome back to the show AJ from Disney Food Blog. How are you doing, AJ?
I am doing great, Imagination Skyway. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you. I had to bring you back for food and wine because honestly, when we did the Flower and Garden Festival, the number one thing that I got back in response from listeners was bring AJ back for every other festival. So here we are with Food and Wine Festival.
Okay. Yeah. Food and wine. Here we go. Matt, the master of all festivals.
It is. And there's one thing I want to start with because last time we spoke and I gave you the warning before we recorded that there was some follow-up to the Flower and Garden Festival episode. So one of the things you mentioned when we talked about the Food and Wine Festival is how that midsummer start that we were seeing in the last few years really made for to use a pun, a sizzling day of sampling items and gathering content on social media. Because, of course, it's just so hot in the middle of, the end of July, beginning of August. So how are you feeling about the August 29th start date this year?
Well, I have a lot of feelings about it. I think it was a shock to start with because I genuinely thought that I either thought that they were going to add another festival in the summer because I'm like, why would Disney not make money if they could? That I did not my mind is blown. They must, obviously they have other plans or are figuring something else out for what they're going to do with that summer lull, or else there was some reason why they couldn't do something like that. Because one thing I know about Disney is they will make money if they can. And so I thought that was weird, but the late start, isn't that much cooler. I mean, it's still hot. It was still a very hot day. But what's interesting to me is that the crowds were much lower. So that's a benefit, I guess, is that you don't have like kind of the summer swell of the crowds. And so it was an easier day from that perspective because although there were definitely lines and stuff like that, you didn't see, they had those switchbacks set up for the merchandise. Um, and there was no line. There was no line for the merchandise. Nobody cared to go into Creations shop. And so you just saw people kind of walking the switchbacks back and forth to get to Creations shop. So that was interesting. The lines didn't form significantly at the booths until later than they usually do. So you just didn't see that kind of crush that day. I think it's interesting that they've only got the festival running for basically 2.5 months instead of, 4.5 months. And so what's the game plan there? It might have been that they had initially thought they would have Communicore Hall up and running to bring those seminars and dems back, which we were convinced that they would. But that might have been a situation where there was too many moving parts to make that happen this year, and they weren't able to just nail it down. I don't know. So maybe they thought originally, well, we will be able to do this, and then no, we can't. Let's shorten the festival. So that's kind of my thinking about it. The two new booths are really, really fall centric too. And that's the other, oh, that's another thing. Sorry, I'm talking too much. But
No,
that's the other.
this is your topic. You're the, like I said, you're the Disney food royalty. I talk about rides and attractions. You're the one that's all the food royalty here.
I'm happy to talk to you about rides and attractions too. I love them. I think that this year, in the past, they've started the festival early, but they've basically opened only half the festival, and then several booths opened later. So, like over the past couple of years, like you'd have a wave of booths that opened a month into the festival, and then another wave that opened 2 months into the festival. And so this year they opened all the booths on the same, on the same day. So that's interesting that they just kind of cut out the part that was like, food and wine light and just went, straight on. So that's an interesting, I'm fascinated. I wish I could be at those boardroom tables or those conference room tables where they're talking about why they're doing this and what, because it's fascinating to me to try to figure out. They completely surprised us this year.
Yeah, the late start, I can appreciate that there are fewer crowds, lower lines, and that definitely is at least a benefit to it. Because when you do it in the middle of the summer, that's where you have this influx in tourism and kids that are local who are off from school still going to enjoy the parks with their families. And that's the reason why, coming from the Northeast, where our school calendar is delayed compared to the rest of the country starting after Labor Day, our favorite time to go to Disney, despite the intense heat and humidity and hurricane season, is the end of August, because there is, everyone in the rest of the country is back at school. It's just a few select pockets of the country that are still off. And so we get a lot of New York, New Jersey fellow friends that are down there for that time of year. And actually that, I think the other benefit of this is that I never heard this term before I saw it on social media, but we got an extended period of what I guess fans are calling Diet Epcot, where there's really there's no, you're not eating as much from the Food and Wine Festival booths or from the Flower and Garden booths. So I actually, it made me miss when Epcot didn't have a festival, because there's always, I think I did the math for an article I wrote for WDW Magazine. There was in 2021, 30 days in the calendar that Epcot didn't have a festival. And that was just like 10, 12 days in between festival seasons that they were just transitioning to the next. But summer this year, they had a couple of extra offerings that were limited time for the summer, but it was really just Epcot without a festival. So is that something you'd want to see again, or are you hoping that they bring something into the summer for festival season?
I'm not bothered by having festival booths. I think they're handy to have from a planning perspective, because You don't have to make a table service reservation. You can just pop in line for a booth and grab something as you go around. You go around each country and you get something from each booth. I think that's great. So for me, and this is coming from an original 1980s Epcot kid. I love original Epcot, but I don't think the booths hurt anything at all. I think they're handy. I think they spread out the people a little bit more, so you're not having that huge crush during at the counter service locations at noon. You've got some people who are spread out a little bit. So again, it boggles my mind. I'm like, there's literally no downside to having those from Disney's perspective. And so that's what makes me think that there must have been some logistical reason why they couldn't do it during the summer. So yeah, I love it. I love having those booths. I always have. I can remember when Flower and Garden first started having food at the festival, because the festivals didn't have food until like what 20 oh not 2009 2010, I don't know, but I remember there were two booths at Flower and Garden, and I was like, oh, here we go. Well, I guess Food and Wine obviously had food, but Flower and Garden had
that was the
food.
exception. Yeah.
It was brand new that they were bringing food, and I was like, this is great. Let's do more of this. So I'm a super fan of having those. I don't think it hurts anything. I'm not really sure why people love, Diet Epcot so much, because I don't think that it causes any, it's not like it's closing something down that you can't enjoy. When Epcot, it doesn't have a festival. So same difference, and you get more options.
That's true. And that's definitely a plus. I think the only reason that some fans like Diet Epcot is not because it lacks something in terms of attractions or things to go to, but in terms of crowds, because the festivals do attract that local audience to come back, and maybe they'll skip Epcot if there's no festival, or spend fewer days at Epcot. So not that I was measuring wait times this summer and looking to see if it made a difference at all, but I think that's the impression, is that perhaps it tempers the crowds a bit and keeps the locals at home. But either way. Well, you talked about spreading out, crowds being spread out in the park. So one of the things that is new this year that you alluded to a few minutes ago is the fact that we now have World Celebration open. We have Communicore Hall open earlier this summer. And the whole concept of World Celebration and Communicore Hall being the way it is right now was festival focused, knowing that there are so many festivals throughout the year and that there's a lot of pressure, as they say, fans, that ritual, that tradition, that rite of passage to eat your festival meals over a trash can, but that you should have some tables and chairs and places to sit and enjoy. And so that was the purpose, or one of the main purposes, of this new space that we have. Between the two of us, I mean, you went to the festival this year. I'm not going to the festival this year, having a newborn at home. I'm not traveling. So you're the only one who could really speak to this truly, in terms of the setup with World Celebration and Communicore Hall. How do you feel that it was executed this year? Did you notice any pressure relieved off of World Showcase, or what's your sort of analysis of this festival space being brought back forward towards the front of the park?
I think from that perspective, it's great. I do think that there were a lot more places to enjoy your food for those particular booths that are in, I still call it Future World. I don't know what is it,
World Celebration,
Celebration.
And it is in World Nature, World Discovery too. I know they're split up, but I'm just thinking about
easier
that
to
central
just say
part.
Future World. So those booths that are in Future World, it was very nice to have that, especially the World Celebration Gardens space to just kind of sit and chill and eat your food. But there's still, nobody's going to walk from the booths around World Showcase over there. And there aren't that many booths in the Future World area. So I don't know that it's making as huge a difference from the places to sit and eat perspective. there were we have been noticing, our team has been noticing over the past couple of years that Disney's done a much better job of providing tables and seating around World Showcase. There's still kind of like a dearth of it in front of Italy and that whole area up there where you're still kind of fighting for a window ledge or something. But I do think that, World Celebration offers a nice place to sit and chill if you are at a booth nearby, if you're at, Fry Basket or whatever. So yeah, I think that's great. I think it's very, again, I mean, I agree with everybody. I think it's super unfortunate that they didn't use those spaces for, bringing back Stems and Dems and, wine tastings and all of that stuff, which was, such a, I guess it's a cornerstone. It was always a cornerstone of food and wine. And, those Sems and Dems sold out and people loved them. So I think it's very unfortunate that they kind of Communicore Hall also doesn't necessarily seem like it's big enough to house um I'm just gonna call it Body Wars. What's it
Yeah.
called?
Wonders of
What
Life Pavilion.
Wonders of Life Pavilion
Yeah.
was able to do. And so I don't feel like Communicore Hall is necessarily big enough to handle that, especially since you don't have kind of the individual spaces. So, I guess we'll see what happens, how it evolves. I think it would be silly if they continue to kind of just use that space for, here's a couple of booths and some merchandise. So I am hoping again that there were logistics issues this year and they weren't able to kind of finalize all the plans to make sure that that happened. But we'll see.
Yeah, and World Showplace. I feel like they've held some
Yeah,
events
they
in there
used to
too.
do they used to do Party for the Senses in World Showplace. And then for a couple of years they actually had booths in there. They had like 5 or 6 booths in there in Showplace. And so that, that was always nice to have an indoor area where you had several booths. So that might be what the thinking is for Communicore Hall, but then I guess they could do Party for the Senses in there, but they couldn't really it would be difficult to do multiple seminars and events at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. First festival I'm going to be going back to is the Festival of the Arts. So we'll see what that looks like that season.
Are you
Maybe
ready to
I'll-
go with an infant? Are you bringing your?
Oh, we are. Yeah, we're going as a family of 4. I mean, by that time that we go with her, she'll be 6 months. And our first trip with Maggie was when she was 7 months, and it was worth every second. So,
Okay.
and yeah, it'll be a different dynamic having it's very easy with the infant. It's a little more challenging with the toddler and the infant. So we'll see. I mean, Maggie will be 3 and then Emily will be 6 months. So we'll see
Yeah.
how that works. But yeah, but we'll be ready for it. We're ready for it. We're going to be testing with some travel before then. That's not Disney, and then
Such a
we'll
good
work up
idea.
towards Disney. Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I was not prepared to be a parent, and I'm not good at it. And so I'm so glad that we took like a 2-night trip just to a town like a couple hours from here, just to be like, how bad are we at this? Turns out pretty bad. We were pretty bad at it.
It's challenging. It's there's no training that exists. Not really. For you can read every
No,
book. You can
no,
it
yeah, but
doesn't
your
it
kid's
doesn't exist.
different. Your kid's different from everybody's kid, and you're a
Exactly.
different parent from everybody's parent. Yeah, so
And then now having 2, also I could say that the parenting styles change from one kid to the next.
right, because you
Um,
just don't know what you're. Of course, you're going to have 2 completely different kids. I mean, they're
yes.
they're going to be polar opposites of each other because it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be easy enough if they weren't.
No, that's just not how life works.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we'll see. Festival of the Arts. We'll see how that looks, and it's nice to have that indoor space in Future
yeah,
World, but yeah, we'll see if they can expand it with more offerings. I know it's a limited space, but Yeah, that actually brings me. This is a question I was going to ask later, but I'm going to ask it now because it's kind of specific, and it's in Communicore Hall. I saw that they had this Macatizers booth, which looks amazing, and they have 4 mac and cheese options. They have, I think it's the regular mac and cheese, the cheesesteak mac and cheese, the Impossible mac and cheese, and the truffles mac and cheese. Is there like, what is your pick from those 4? Which one speaks to you the most?
Um,
If you're, if any, maybe you're not a mac and cheese fan, but yeah, hard to come across someone who's not a mac and cheese fan.
yeah, I love mac and cheese. Like
So do I. I'd
I
be at
have
that booth a lot.
a little bit of an obsession about it. I think there's better mac and cheese in Disney World than at that booth. Like I think that booth hasn't really brought what you want it to bring. I don't think the noodle booth brings what you want it to bring either. And so that's unfortunate. You know, it's kind of one of those things like I'm gonna go to Gasparilla Island Grill and have their mac and cheese every day before I'm going to this booth. The cheesesteak was probably our favorite there. And then we were impressed by the Impossible. The Impossible was pretty good, but probably the cheesesteak. But I think again, if I'm gonna eat mac and cheese, I'm not gonna eat it there probably. So that's I got my favorites.
That's good to know. I think I've had the Gasparilla Island Grill before the mac and cheese. I've eaten there before. I think I've had their mac and cheese. Probably Maggie just had the kids mac and cheese, and I ate some of that. But if I have to now because that's our home resort. So I'm gonna have to go back and next time we stay there.
Yeah, it's a house-made mac and cheese. They make it back there, so it's not like a frozen thing that they just warm up. And so it's variable. So you can have good days and bad days with it. And I know that the chef back there, at least this is what I was told probably 2 years ago, that if she notices that it's starting to get a little less creamy, if it's starting to kind of dry out a little bit back there, she will add just a ton more cream to it and some more cheese and like get it back where it needs to be. So I've had it served to me very creamy and also kind of dry. So it sort of depends where you are in the day. But I don't know, I'll just go buy some milk and put it in there with a bunch of salt. It's really good. That's what I do at home when I warm up mac and cheese. I just have like a little thing of like half and half in my fridge that I put in there, and then I put in like a half a tablespoon of butter and a bunch of mac and a bunch of half and half, and I put it in the microwave, and yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to trade mac and cheese recipes with the box mac and cheese. We something similar. It's all by eye.
My
See like
parents
how much
used to get really mad at me when I was a kid because I would make they would buy the Kraft box mac and cheese.
Oh yeah, of course.
I would make mac and cheese. Like this is when I was in high school. I would make mac and cheese, but I would use the cheese from 2 boxes.
Wow.
To put in one box.
Yeah.
And then I'd throw away the noodles from the other. My parents were like, no, that's not what we do. That's And I'm like, but why? So what I've found now is that nuts.com sells that powdered cheese, the powdered cheddar cheese that they use in the little packets. And so I just buy like a huge bag of that, and then I can put as much of it in as.
That's a brilliant strategy, though.
There you go.
That's yeah. I mean, I never thought about that. I just used the cheese that's in the box, but you knew from a very young age how to hack the Kraft mac and cheese and make it to your liking.
This is my problem. This is both my genius and my curse, Matt, is that like I will literally go to those lengths. I'm like, I want it the way I want it, and I'm gonna use the cheese from all these and you see now though that now they're marketing. Kraft markets mac and cheese with like triple cheese. They're like triple cheese. And it's like they understand that that's what people want. They want more of the cheese from the cheese packet. So I don't think I'm that weird. I think everybody wants more cheese.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring on Kraft as a sponsor for this episode because we're doing them some justice here.
If you know them, I'd like to be introduced.
We'll work it out. We'll do a Disney food blog, Imagination Skyway Crafts sponsorship. We'll
I
bring
mean,
lots
they
of great
used to
content.
sponsor the Land Pavilion.
They did, yes.
I don't know if they still do, but like Kitchen
There's
Cabaret was
Nestle, there's
sponsored by
Kraft.
Kraft.
Yeah,
So I think that there's definitely a synergy there.
I'll reach out to their communications team and see what we can make happen.
Love it.
So other than the mac and cheese, there's
Yes.
of course as we there's over 30 booths that you can go to grab food and wine from, as I said, like hundreds of dishes that you can get, and beverage items. So, I feel like there's a lot of repeat favorites that come back year after year. One thing that I've always said is my favorite that I did not notice, and I didn't go in person, so I couldn't verify this, but just going by what I saw online, it didn't look like they had the Kenyan coffee rub beef, I think it was. It looks like it's gone. That was literally one of my favorite items from Food and Wine. So it looks like that one was gone this year, which is disappointing. I hope they bring it
I'm
back.
yeah, I don't think Kenya was there this year. Let me search just really quick. I don't think it is. We lost let's see. Nope. Kenya wasn't there. We lost Ireland. We lost Kenya. Although a lot of the Ireland stuff just went to other booths. That's the thing. They did a lot of booth um musical chairs this
Yeah.
year. They do that with festivals a lot too, where they move festival items around to different. And so when they announce the menus, it's always like a big scavenger hunt for our team to be like, I know we've had this. Where was it before? Oh, Festival of Holidays, 2017. It was there, and now it's back. So, but yeah, I think that's gone this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's very niche. Like not everyone goes out of their way to find. Like I'm sure that's not the top of the list for a lot of people to go to the Kenya
Yeah, but I
booth.
think a
But
lot of people really liked it. Yeah.
yeah, but I do know that there's, you kind of mentioned there's some new stuff this year. So what's your impression of what's new at this year's festival from an
I
offerings
am
perspective?
I'm looking right now for my best of the fest. That's what I'm doing on my phone. Um,
And I should have had this up too. I have your blog open, but I didn't open up the best of the fest.
well, I
So this is
should
a
have
good
done
plug. Everyone open it up at home. We're gonna read through it together.
Everybody find it. Also, you can get our exclusive festival map and checklist.
There you go.
So let's see what's on our new best of the fest list for this year, because we do have a lot of returning ones every year too, but we had a lot. That's something that our team noticed this year is we weren't hurting for new best of the fest. And some festivals we are. Some festivals are like, oh man, there's nothing new that's any good this year. We have to be like, what are we going to tell people to go get? Because everything's just going to be a repeat from last year. Mexico was our number one booth this year. In Mexico, just a heads up, every festival is brand new. They do not recycle food items at Mexico most of the time for any festival. Like they always bring out new stuff. And that's great. I mean, it's not great for us because that's a really heavy booth that people have to eat at,
Yeah.
but it's always good. And Mexico and France are always sort of vying for our best festival booth every year. And I don't know why. I don't know why it's always those two and the other ones can't get their act together, but it is always those two that are vying. Now, every once in a while you have, a rando that comes in as the potential best of the fest, but every single festival, it's Mexico and France. So if you're going to a festival and you only have time for two booths, choose those two booths, no matter what festival you're going to. But the tostada de camarones at Mexico, that we loved that. The flauta de barbacoa at Mexico, we loved that. The pan de elote, that's a brand new dessert. Kind of like a tres leches cornbread, almost like a caramel. It's like a corn version of tres leches, which is really cool.
Wow.
Bramblewood Bites is a brand new. We really like the new booths this year. Bramblewood Bites and what's that other, oh, it starts with an F.
I'm looking it up too. It's
Forest and Field. Forest and
yes.
Field. Ooh, I don't like that this isn't capitalized on my blog post. I'm gonna have to go.
I think this happened last time. We were editing your blog as we were
Yeah,
recording.
yeah, I know. We write so much every day. Like DFB puts out at least 20 articles every day, which is unbelievable. We do not have that many writers, so they're doing such a good job.
I
Um,
make mistakes all the time. So
well, but I'm
it's
also, I am, as we were talking about before you started recording, like my standards are so high that I'm just
mhm.
like, why is this Oxford comma not, and it's like, it doesn't even
That's
matter,
not a bad
AJ. It's
thing.
not even grammatically incorrect. And it's like, but it is in my head.
Yeah.
Um,
You got
uh,
brand standards.
it's true.
That's yeah.
Okay, so we've got Bramblewood Bites. We love the grilled cider brined pork tenderloin there, but I think we really kind of liked everything at Bramblewood. Here's France, the egg mouillot. I don't know if I said that right in my video. I hope I did. Mouillot with goat cheese and caramelized onions. The escargot brioche. We always love how they like tuck snails into bread and then we get to eat it. Hawaii has a new item. The rice bowl is brand new there. It's kind of like a deconstructed like Masubi, but that's really good. We've got Forest and Field is the other new booth. We basically loved everything at Forest and Field. Forest and Field is probably a good one to hit if you only have time for a couple of booths. There's so many fall flavors here. You've got the pumpkin ravioli there.
Sounds
Um,
so good. Just looking at the
yeah,
list, I'm
well,
I'm
who doesn't
craving it.
love brown? Anytime you're gonna give me a brown butter sauce, even if it isn't actually that good, I'm gonna think it is because of the name.
Yes. It's so
Power
good.
of words, like brown butter sauce, great. I love it, even though it doesn't even taste good. But this does taste good. And then they totally changed the America booth this year. It's usually it's Flavors of America, and this year they changed the signage, they changed the branding for the booth, and now it's just a bunch of hot dogs, which we weren't that impressed with. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't think I was going to be that impressed with it, and I wasn't. They did bring that chocolate cake though from it's the chocolate pudding cake which they've had in Ireland for many, many years before. They took it away a couple of years ago. But this time they're doing it American version. So it's got like, what does it have? It's got
It's the bourbon caramel that's
the
on top.
bourbon in it. It's got
Yeah.
bourbon instead of the Irish whiskey. And so you know, it's really good, but but that was probably our favorite thing at that booth. So while Flavors of America has always been a must do, it's not really anymore unless you're a huge hot dog fan. So couple of others here that are new. Paella Negra in Spain. That's that squid ink rice. I love a paella. The vanilla cheesecake in Italy. Italy always has a weird, just like one thing that's good. Oh, and the giant zebra dome.
Which
Giant
booth?
zebra dome over at Refreshment Outpost.
That is right up my alley.
It's huge. It's as big as your face. It's giant. And I think that's so cool. And people aren't talking about it as much as they should. It was really good too. Like they did a good job with it. So
That sounds awesome. And you don't have to
yeah,
travel to Animal Kingdom Lodge then
right.
to get those zebra domes and to have it be giant instead of the mini ones. That's amazing.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, I mean, and I know I said I was not happy that the Kenya booth was gone, but they did have some returning favorites, which I was still happy to see. So I feel like we talked about this last time too, but the Alps in Germany booths
Hmm.
don't really change much, but that's because they really don't need to change much. They're just delicious
Right.
the way they are. So don't
Yep.
mess with what
Alps,
works.
Germany, Belgium,
Yep.
Brazil, always exactly the same. Like no, maybe they'll change out a wine. Um, Germany will always change out its beers. You'll always have new beers there, but the food items have been the same for years. And that's okay. Canada never changes.
Yeah.
They're always going to be the same. So you don't, if you went to them last year, India, I think is the same this year. Japan and China will always change out a little bit, but not like the whole menu. That's into, I don't think I actually voiced that before that. There are some booths that will change every single festival, and there will some that will be the same every single festival, and that doesn't really vary. That's just always how it is.
Yeah. The other favorite of mine is the slow roasted pork sliders from Hawaii. That's another one that
Yep.
I'll have two of them in a day, amongst all the other things that we're sampling, just because it's so good. Do you have any other favorites that returned this year?
I always love flavors from fire. That's always every time Food and Wine comes around, I am going to the flavors from fire booth. I remember crisply when that booth first opened and I was covering that booth, and I was just blown away with these potato chips. And I'm like, why are these so good? The corn, and it's corned beef, and it's that almost like a fondue sauce going on. So, so good. This year, they really wowed us. They've got two other like sliders there this year. Still have the swine brine, which, you know, our reporter this year really loved the swine brine. I still can't get past the piggy wing. I'm like, why? Pigs don't have wings. Why is this piece of meat in my drink? I don't understand it. But, people like it enough that they're buying it, and it's been there for years, So flavors from fire, always, always my go-to. The whole booth is good this year. The Let's see what else we got. Oh, Milled and Mold is a new booth as well, which is a super weird name. I don't know why we have to have two verbs for like all of our booths. It's like I've never understood like when they had like the wave ... of American flavors, and like Jico and Boma both have ellipses in their names. And I'm like, why do we have to make it hard? But we do, apparently. But Milled and Mold, that's where the freshly baked carrot cake with the warm cream
Mm,
cheese icing went
yeah.
from America. So that went over to Milled and Mold. So if you are looking for it, that's where she is, and she's just as good as always has been. India booth is decent. We are always going to get the poutine. The braised beef poutine is back again this year. It's a refreshment port. Something that we enjoyed this year was Block and Hans is back. Block and Hans is that little kiosk in front of the America Pavilion, which sometimes they include it in festivals and sometimes they don't. This year they had a pineapple and lemonade kind of frozen drink with I think tahini around the rim, and we enjoyed that. That was a good one. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, cheddar cheese soup in Canada. Always going to recommend that. Roasted lamb chop. Australia really wowed us again this year, although the menu doesn't change very much. I think it just depends on who's in the booth that year. Heads up too that Australia has a new actual physical booth that wasn't ready yet at the beginning of the festival. So right now they're working out of a tent next to their booth, and eventually, hopefully, they'll move over to their new little booth. But I
Yeah.
think it was they needed some permits for it that weren't in yet. So if you're confused when you go about where Australia is, it's the tent next to the random booth that doesn't have a name.
Interesting.
The Alps, of course, I'm always going to get that raclette.
Yeah.
And then the mimosa flight over at Shimmering Sips, expensive, but if you need a little indulgence, if you want to be a little fancy. And then the France booth, of course, we always love the France booth.
Yeah. That's another stop on our journey as well. One of Joanna's favorite stops is usually the France Pavilion booth. We focused a lot on food, so I should also ask, because you did mention at least the flight that you enjoy, but any other beverage shout outs for those who are looking to sample the wine side of Food and Wine?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there wasn't anything this year that kind of wowed us on the wine side. There's no one on my team who's a sommelier. So we're just going to try it and be like, yes, this went well with the dish or didn't go well with the dish or whatever. So there wasn't anything that we were just like, wow, or wasn't anything that was brand new that we thought was super interesting. But that's not the best question for me because I'm not I'm not super expert at wines. So,
Extending
if your
beyond wine
audience,
too. I mean, anything on the cocktail side, let's say.
yeah, I mean, again, the swine brine is always something that you're gonna want to try. You've got some good the s'mores drink is back for the kids. That's always on our best of the fest for the kids. That pineapple lemonade frozen drink we thought was an interesting addition over there at Block and Hans. Um, let's see, there were a couple of others. Let me go back to my list here and see if there's a couple of others that I can throw out there. A lot of it's just same old this year.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure a lot of that has to do with popularity of those items or just the pure
You've got that Ireland
logistics.
milkshake. That Ireland milkshake is now over at a different, I think is it at Milden Mald? I'm not sure where it is this year. But if you like that, it's served in the same little Ireland cup that it always has been. There's the pickle milkshake. If that interests you, that guy is back again this year over at the Odyssey Pavilion. Yeah, so I think, and then the other two booths that always have interesting drinks are going to be Japan and China. You're always going to find cool bubble teas or boba teas, and they're always doing some, Japan's always got a fun sake drink going on. So those are good booths for kind of finding some interesting cocktails, I would think. And of course, Mexico. And Mexico is always going to have a couple of new margaritas that they're throwing out there. They've been super into mezcal lately, which mezcal is not my favorite, so I don't necessarily love the margaritas they've had the past few festivals because they are super smoky and that's not my favorite flavor. But if you're a margarita fan, if you're looking for new and different tequilas to try, that's a good one.
Always popular. And I just looked it up for you. The Irish milkshake is at the Festival Favorites booth in Community Core Hall.
Oh,
So
in
that's where they
Community
moved
Hall.
that one
Okay.
this year.
Yeah.
And that's also where you'll find the frozen s'mores, which honestly, even not for kids, I would definitely try that. The chocolate milk, marshmallow syrup, mini marshmallows on top, graham cracker. What's not to love about that?
No, it's just one of those things that you can make so easily at home, though. So I'm
That's
like,
true.
if like I would buy it if your kid just really is like mad that you've got a bunch of cocktails and they don't have one. But like otherwise it's like, why would I spend like $7 for that if I can just make it at home? Festival Favorites is interesting too. I think they still have the pierogies there, right? From the old Poland food.
Yes.
I haven't had Poland in so many years, but those pierogies stay alive, man.
So good. Yeah. That's caramelized onions, sour cream. They also have the barbecue pork rinds there and the key lime tart are at that booth.
Yep.
So yeah, now I'm actually craving pierogies. Now that you mentioned it, I'll have to go out and get some. I think that just like any other festival episode, I don't want to go by booth, but those I think are some really good highlights. And last time we spoke, which I'm going to refer people back to for the Flower and Garden Festival episode, we talked a lot about concert series and strategies and dining packages, and nothing's really changed with that. But the list this year, any particular standouts for the concert series? We got Sugar Ray, Hoobastank, Yellow Card, Hooligans, Tiffany, Mercy Me, Foreigner's Journey, Sheila E., The Wanted. This is a pretty big list. So any particular standouts for you or ones you're most excited about?
Well, I mean, I am always happy to keep seeing Boys to Men come back, and I'm a huge Journey fan, even though they don't have, it's not actually Journey and it's not Steve Perry, but at least you could hear the songs live. That's good. Yeah, so those are probably my favorite. They've got a couple of new ones though. I know Yellow Card is new, and they're doing a bunch of stuff with Yellow Card right now in terms of their new album thing, like Disney's new album thing that they're doing. So
Yes.
I think when it comes to the concerts, that's just one of those look at who's coming, figure out who you want to see and make sure that you're scheduled at those times, but also get that dining package. Because to me, I am willing to pay the money for the dining package so that I don't have to stress about, getting a seat. And I line up early too, because don't forget that is an amphitheater. And if it's raining that day, there are seats. Even if you get the dining package, you may be stuck in those seats that are behind where the overhang is.
That's
So try
true.
to get the seats in the front. So if it starts to rain, you don't get wet.
That's a very good point. Always get there early. Yeah,
Mhm.
get that prime seat. There's nothing like being caught in the rain in a concert, but
It's the
having that
worst. Yeah.
covered
Even if you
seat
have a
is
dining
great.
package, still show up an hour before and get in line for the dining pack on the dining package side if it's a popular band. If it's not a popular band, you're fine. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really popular ones. I know Joey Fatone and friends, coming back for this one. I know Joey's, I think, local to Orlando and a Disney
Is yeah.
fan, so not
Yep.
surprised to see him back. Yeah, the new ones. David Archuleta is new this year. Yellow Card, as you said, is new this year. It's going on the list. The Wanted is new. Jesse and Joy, and I think that's and Magic and Parmalee. There's a lot of new ones this year.
Hmm.
And Haley Reinhart. there's a number of new ones this year. But yeah, you got Boys to Men back. Got 98 Degrees, Smash Mouth. It's a lot of concerts to enjoy this year. So especially if you're local, I mean, you could go back and back again and again and again and see something different every
Yep.
single time. Um, well, awesome. As I kind of said, before we started recording and at the beginning here, I didn't expect this to be as deep of dive as the Flower and Garden Festival, because it really is about the food and the wine. And yes, you've got the merchandise, you've got the scavenger hunts, you've got the concert series. There's just a lot of other things to enjoy around the festival, but wanted to focus mostly on the food and wine, or the food and beverage aspects of the festival. I'll just throw one other question out, which is if you have any other recommendations for folks to make the best use of Flower and Garden Festival, other than, of course, getting the all the the Disney food blog goodies to enjoy the
Yeah.
festival this year. But so I'm going to direct people all to Disney food blog. Any other advice or specific things you want to call out for this year?
Yeah, I mean, again, the typical festival advice is always go on a weekday versus a weekend and go right when it opens. Go right at 11 or right, and then some of those future world booths might open a little bit earlier. So go, you know, at the beginning of the day versus the end of the day to avoid those crowds and avoid those lines. I always tell people to bring a tray. If you're going for the festival, just get a little tray that fits into your backpack. You can get one for like $2, the little cafeteria tray, and then you have a way to carry all your stuff. Now, if you've got a whole bunch of people with you, then fine. Don't worry about it. But if you just got if it's just you and one other person or a small family, or if you've got kids and they're not going to carry anything without spilling it, then get yourself a tray. I always recommend doing that. It's been such a benefit. So those are a couple of also probably best not to make a table service reservation if you are going to eat around the festival, because I think a lot of times, myself included, people's eyes are bigger than their stomachs, and they're like, oh, I'm going to eat at Le Cellier and then I'm going to go eat around the booths for dinner. It's like, no,
No,
you're not.
no.
So just eat around the booths and see if you're still hungry, go to Regal Eagle and get some barbecue. So that, I think those are the biggest tips probably. Epcot's great that the ride, most of the rides don't usually have huge lines. Make your game plan around lightning lanes and stuff like that for Remy and Cosmic Rewind, and then test tracks closed, so you don't have to worry about that. And everything else should just fall into place because the rest of the rides don't really have huge lines. So you can just fit those around, and it can be one of your more relaxed days in terms of planning, which is really nice.
I'll definitely second the piece about not making any dining reservations. It's something that we always do at Food and Wine Festival. It's just grazing throughout the festival all day, enjoying everything that's there, because it's just so hard, especially if you're there for a trip and you're not able to go back time and again. It's going to be very challenging to get to everything you want. You're right. Our eyes are definitely bigger than our stomachs most of the time. So, and the tray idea is brilliant. It's a very handy idea. We use our stroller, our the Kingdom
the
stroller
stroller
rental
tray,
that we
yep.
get for holding a lot of things, but it's a little cumbersome to hold food and beverages. So the tray idea is great. And you put that on top of the stroller as you're, keep it steady, keep
Exactly.
it there.
You put down the awning and you put the tray on top and you're perfect.
Exactly. Well, AJ, awesome. I thanks so much for coming on to talk about the Food and Wine Festival, and we've got 2 more festivals to conquer for now. Then maybe they'll add a 5th over the summer. Eventually, they'll do something new. We've got the arts, we've got food and wine, flowers. So it's like we're covering all the different themes. We're missing the
festival, where the holidays. We got to get fat. We got to get holidays.
Yeah, and in terms of like a theme, they haven't covered any of the, like, I feel like arts ties into imagination, flower and garden ties into the lands, food and wine, obviously the food and wine, but we're missing, like, I don't know, maybe they'll tie into another theme on another pavilion. And make it kind of fun.
I think they probably need to do like a Marvel festival.
Mm.
It's got to be IP, Bob Iger says.
It's got to be.
Next festival will be IP driven.
It sure could. Well, we'll see if we get a 5th one, but for now, we'll invite you back for the other 2. But AJ, is always such a pleasure having you on the show, and thanks for being here for Food and Wine Festival.
Thank you so much, and thanks for listening, everybody. I really appreciate that, and you can tell Matt that you should have me on all the time.
I will, and I'm sure they will. Welcome back to Imagination Central. As you disembark, please remember to remain fully seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop. Then gather your belongings and watch your head and step as you exit. Also, be sure to check out Disney Food Blog, and I want to once again give a very special thanks to AJ for joining me on today's episode. After you exit the episode, I encourage you to engage with the show by following Imagination Skyway on your favorite social media app. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with anyone who might enjoy our discussion today, and leave us a rating or review in your favorite podcast app. If you're listening on Patreon, be sure to answer our question associated with this episode, which is for you to tell me which is your favorite EPCOT Festival. Remember, you can sign up for a free Patreon membership to engage with other listeners and leave your comments at patreon.com/imaginationskyway, or you can try a paid subscription option free for 7 days to enjoy even more bonus content. And if you're ready to book your next Disney vacation, or you have questions as you prepare for your next Disney trip, be sure to contact our travel partners at KMV Travel, a sponsor of Imagination Skyway and a boutique travel agency that helps families plan personalized vacations and create unforgettable memories on land and at sea. Kelly and her team are an amazing resource, and I encourage you to reach out to them and take advantage of their expert knowledge, world-class service, and complimentary booking support by heading to kmvtravel.com/skyway, or simply find KMV Travel on social media and let them know Imagination Skyway sent you. Thank you so much for riding aboard Imagination Skyway, and remember, if we can dream it, we can do it.